Hello, it is Tuesday, March 3rd, or no wait, sorry, March 2nd, 2021. God, I'm getting my days mixed up. I don't want it to be March 3rd quite yet. So yeah, let me just get Unity working. Oh God, I don't know what I just did there. Oh, I do know what I just did. Okay, that's fine. There we go, that should be working. Alright, camera, I adjusted you before the stream, you should be working. Come on, camera, I believe in you. Come on. Oh, come on, seriously? God, I adjusted this thing before the stream. No, really, why are you broken? Shouldn't be. Okay. I literally adjusted this thing less than 10 minutes ago, and it has now decided that it's not going to work. Okay, so, I have also... It needs to be like right there. Nope, like right there. Of course, now it's not working either. God, I hate this thing. I really hate this thing. God, come on. There we go. Oh my god, fuck you. Stupid camera. Alright. This thing never wants to work. Alright. Are you finally happy? There we go. Let's see how long that lasts. Anyway, so yeah, I have been working on this a little bit off camera. I basically just worked on some of the various pieces of artwork. So now, what we can do is I created this unit component. Basically, all it does is it holds some information related to, basically all the characters are based on like chess pieces. I don't know why, it just came to my mind. But anyway, yeah, it holds information about which piece it is, so this is a queen, and then which material it is. So there's like 4 materials, there's like slate, sandstone, various things like that. There are some rendering issues, as you can see, but we can fix those at some later point. Yeah, rendering issues. It's a little bit of animation on the hands and on the eyes. So yeah, that's just kind of what I did off camera, because I needed to get some artwork done. Yeah, today I think one of the main things I want to work on is the actual like game loop. The whole like you go through the main menu, then you go through, you know, various things, eventually end up in one of the levels, which is the game itself, and then you can escape and quit and all that stuff. So I want to work on that today. So to do that, one of the things that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to find scenes. We're going to need to create a subfolder called this levels. And then I'm going to change this to level 1. And then, yeah, we can reload this. Alright. And we'll just put that in there. And then now I'm going to create a new scene here because we basically want a logo scene. We want a title, like main menu screen. Then we want also, I think that's it. I think that's all we need is those two. But the logo one we're not going to use right now. So we'll just call this the title screen. And, okay, so what we need to do is we need to add, let's say, a canvas. We need to set it so that it scales correctly. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to change this from constant pixel size to scale with screen size and set it as 1980 by, oops, that's not right. Or sorry, 1920 by 1080. That should work. Okay, and then let's focus that really quick. Alright. God damn it, the camera is still not working. I don't understand. Really don't get it. Just really likes to not work. Alright. Maybe that'll work now? Alright, okay, that does seem to be working. Okay, I don't know what we're going to do exactly for the title screen, so I'm not going to worry about it. I think I've imported TextMesh Pro. Yeah, I have. Okay. So I'm just going to change this to be the title. I'm going to set this up as the title. Then we can anchor that to the top. Let's say about there. Let us center these both. Disable overflow. Yeah. Disable that. Set this to be bold and I don't know, 100 probably fair? No, 120. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we'll have that at the very top. And then it's a question of how the menu is actually going to work. I think we're just going to have a group of buttons. Maybe we'll have like a chess piece that kind of, no, well, actually maybe. Alright, I think I have an idea. So what we'll do is we will have a, have this be 0, have that be 0, no. How are we going to do this? Alright, I think we'll do that. What I'm thinking is we're going to have one of those things where the menu is like a little bit, it's like to the left or something, so 100. So the position, we want the pivot to be 0, yes. So we'll keep the position at 0. Now whenever we increase the width, it should scale to the right, or it should move to the right. So we say 300 here, probably 400? Yeah, 400's probably 450. Yeah, that's probably fine. Make this black. And then what we'll do is we'll have the menu be here, that'll be static, and then we'll have some kind of animation running in the background. I don't know exactly what the animation's going to be quite yet, but we'll do that. One moment. Apologies. Jeez, it's not even cold today, so I don't know why. I don't know why I'm sneezing. Whatever. Yeah. That's what we'll do. We'll have like the menu be right there. So this will be, let's say, I guess we'll just have that be the panel. Then what we can do is we can have some list of buttons. So I don't know what that's going to look like exactly. What we'll do is we will have, so let's say we have a button, right? What do we want that to look like? Actually, we want this to be the TMP buttons. So UI TMP, cool. Let's say we want the width to be, I don't know, 300? No, let's say 200. Yeah, that's probably fine. Then 50. Okay. And then we really don't need that. Target graphic should be this. Yeah, that's probably fine. I wonder if I can set the text. Well, no, I don't want to set the text as a target graphic. I want this to be bold. I want wrapping to be enabled. I want this to be at, say, 30. What I'd really like is I'd like for this to be completely invisible. Like the button text to be some kind of white color. Yeah, I don't think that's quite the right size. Plus that needs to be more bold. So let's say 40 for the font size. And then I guess we'll have to say 300 for the width. Okay. It's interesting, there don't seem to be any other events for this. I'm not sure why. What I'm looking for is like an on hover kind of event, but I don't know if that's a thing. So let's check this out and see what we get. Interesting that we're not getting any change in color. Alright, okay, so this... Oh, it's because... No. Actually, why does that not have... Why does that not change at all? It's even unclickable. Is it because the alpha isn't there? Is that a thing? Huh. Maybe it's because... Does the alpha need to be at least 1 for that to be a raycast target? Is that how that works? That would be weird if that were true. Nope, that's not true. Why? It's strange to me that that's not working the way that I thought it was. Okay. Alright, so if I don't know if that's being clicked, but we can figure that out pretty easily. Let me see. So if I just set this to, let's say, let's just say we set the title inactive when we click on this. Does it actually register the click? It does. Okay, so it is registering the click. It's just not doing the highlight part, which that's actually fine. I think we're going to do our own highlight animation anyway. Let me go, first off, let me get rid of this. Let me create a custom script here and see what we can do. Where would that be? That would be in scripts, game, components. In components, let's create, say, a UI folder. And then let's see, can we say button animation script or component? Let's see how this works out. Basically what I want to do is I want to figure out what events we get access to, and actually there's a better way to do that. Scripting API button. This might work, yeah, okay. So there's properties, public methods, protected, we don't care, operators, messages. What I really want is I want whenever it gets hovered. So this unpointer click, register to the unpointer click on. So it just has on click, that's it. That's all we get. I think with on mouse over, on pointer enter, and on pointer exit, we might be able to do it. Transition to the appropriate state. On pointer enter and on pointer exit might do what we want. So let's check that out. They're messages, so they're private void. Well, I mean, they could be anything, but say on pointer enter. Am I wrong? Okay, that's not being registered as a Unity message. Oh no, they're public methods. Okay. Hang on. Select bool.onPointer enter. So, oh right, so it's a pointer event handler. That's what we need. Okay. Then we have to do this pointer event handler, and that comes from its Unity engine dot, is it dot events? Not event systems or something, yeah. There we go. It's on pointer enter with event data. All right. And then I think we can do it on pointer, or sorry, on pointer no, I pointer exit handler. All right. Then we can say, let's just log the name of the game object. So let's just say name, no, game object.name, I believe. Let's log that, and then log that, and we'll say enter. So what I'm trying to do is I want a custom animation for this. And I don't know that there's any good way to do that using the Unity buttons. Might be able to create one actually, but I don't know. So let's say we have button, just don't do anything. Then we'll add a button animation component. Okay. So that, we get enter, we get exit, we get enter, we get exit. All right, cool. That's kind of what I want. So, right, let us set this, just set the alpha to invisible. Let's see if we still get those notifications. Yes, okay. It happens with the button itself, not with the text. That's good. Okay. So now, what I want to do is I want some kind of animation. Let's think about this. So we could either do this programmatically or through the animator. I think what I want... Okay. Sorry, I was just making sure that the birds outside might be hearable, and you might be able to hear those. Basically what I know, I'm getting sort of scatterbrained at the moment. Because I have the birds to deal with now. I don't know what they're mad about. Anyway, let's make this a little bit larger. What I want is I want an underline to sort of appear underneath whatever you have hovered over. So the way that I'm going to do that, I'm just going to set this to have a little bit of space underneath it. And then I'm going to create some kind of panel, which will have a completely transparent alpha, or not transparent, but opaque alpha. All right. Then I'm going to anchor this to the bottom, have the width be about 300, and then have the height be something like this. And actually, no, the width is going to be at 0, 0. Then the anchor for Y is going to be at 0, and the position on Y is going to be 0. So yeah, that way it'll underline stuff. And now I think if we change the scale here, 0.2, and then we change it to 1, yeah, perfect, okay. So now we just need to animate this image. And the way that I'm going to do that is through this button animation component. So I believe what I can do is I can set the, let's say, we'll have a, basically what we want to do is we want to know about that panel, and then we want to set its scale. We want to basically lerp its scale to a certain point. So we want to know what the target scale is, and then we want to sort of interpolate between the target scale and its current scale. So the way that we can do that is we can have a public reference. I think it's just, I think rect transform will work for this. You can import Unity engine.ui. And this will be a rect transform. And we'll say that this is the, I don't know, underline, sure. And then we'll have a protected float. This will be the target scale. And so all we want to do is when the pointer enters, we want to set the target scale to 1. And when the pointer exits, we want to set the target scale to 0. And then what we will do is we will say that we want a private void update. And so what we will say is if target scale, or we want to know if the difference between the target scale and the current scale is greater than some threshold. So we'll create a protected constant float. This will be the threshold. And we'll say 0.05. So 1/20th, or actually 1/100th is what we'll say. And what we can say is, we can say the math, and say if mathf.abs, the absolute value of the target scale minus the underline dot local scale dot, this is going to be the x. So the difference between those is greater than, or let's say, yeah, greater than the threshold. Then what we will do is we will say that the underline.transform.local scale is equal to a new vector 3. We want to assign the, actually this is just, since this is a transform, we only need to do .local scale. We will assign the x, and then we will keep the y and the z the same to whatever they were, because we don't need to mess with them. And the x is going to be equal to mathf.lerp, and we want to lerp the current scale, underline local scale.x to the target scale, and then we want to do that by 0.1. So basically make the local scale closer to the target scale by 10%, is what I understand that to mean. And that should work. Otherwise, we'll just say that, I don't know, the local scale is equal to this, and then it'll just be equal to the target scale. And so actually there's a much simpler way to rewrite this. We'll just say var x is equal to, yeah, it's just going to be equal to this expression. And we're going to turn this into a ternary, so if this is true, then what we want to do is we want to set the x equal to this. Otherwise, we want to set it equal to the target scale. And that should work. And then all we need to do is we need to say underline.scale is equal to x, and we can get rid of this, and then we can get rid of all of this. And now we have completely expressive logic. Okay, I kind of like that. And yeah, I think that will work. So let's test it. Say the button here is that's the panel, okay. And now that should turn invisible, yep. And then it should, yeah, okay. That's exactly what I wanted that to do. Perfect. Set the scale to be 0 here. And we could even change the speed a little bit, but I don't know. And we can add other animations later, but yeah, I like that. It's very clean and nice. So now if I did that right, we should be able to underline only one of these at a time. So yeah, there we go. Might be a little quick, but you know, let's mess with the speed a little bit. And so what I can do is I can have a public float speed. Set this to 1, and then let's cut this in half, and let's multiply by the speed. And so yeah, you might be saying this is super inefficient to do this every turn, or every frame, to set it every frame, and yeah, it is, but it's the only thing running, so I'm actually okay with it being super inefficient. But yeah, I like that. That's really nice and clean. All right, so what we can do here So we can have the first thing be the start button, and of course we'll have like since I start, then this panel, we actually want to create a parent here. Create an empty parent. Actually, no, we want to create an empty in here. You can set its values to 0. What I want is I want to create a list of evenly spaced buttons. And so I'm going to, instead of trying to space them evenly myself, I'm just going to create a button group. Or I'll create an empty, call it button group. And then we'll use a grid layout component. And we do need to know the width here. So these are going to be 30 by 60. So we'll just say the cell size is 30 by 60. And I think we want to align them to the upper left. Start axis is going to be the vertical axis. The child alignment is going to be to the upper center. And then we're going to add a fixed column count, and there's going to be 1 column exactly. So we'll just create a variable number of rows. And so now if I add these, they get spaced, but they get perfectly placed there. And we can add spacing on the X. We can say about 10 units apart. Okay. This is going to be the link YouTube. I'm going to put links on here. The link for Twitch. And we'll have to move these up. We'll have, I guess, a settings, and then maybe a quit button, because I think I forgot that in my previous one. Yeah, quit, that'll work. All right, so here we'll just say settings. Then here we will say YouTube. And I'll fix these a little bit better. I'll make these a little bit better later. Just say Twitch. And then we will have a quit here. Okay. And I probably want these a little bit higher, if I had to guess. Yeah. I think YouTube's actually, I think the T is actually capitalized, if I'm not wrong. Which is possible. I mean, I only make videos for the platform, I should know, but you know, things are what they are. All right, so let's check this out. All right, I kind of like that. It should probably fade in and fade out, right? But I don't know. Also, I'm kind of thinking of adding like a little rook or something to the left. But I don't know if that's that's probably too much. Maybe it's not. It'd be a question of how I do it, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it. I could also change the scale for each one to match the width of the text, but I don't know if I'm that attached to it. Also, we probably need the click animation, if I had to guess. I don't know what that would even look like. But yeah, when we click one of these, when we click start, we obviously want to go to, it's a question of whether we want to go to a character select screen within here, or whether we want to just have that be its own scene. I think it makes the most sense for that to just be its own scene. So we'll do that. Say have to, we don't have to, but we can. We can also put it in like the level 1 or something. Could have like a special tutorial level. Well, not a tutorial level, but like a starting area where you select various things, which I think would be kind of neat. I don't know. Let me think about it. I have like a 3D kind of selection, thinking like Crypt of the Necrodancer kind of thing, where you kind of move around and that's your sort of selection. I don't know if that's a good way to do it. Actually, I think it is. So let us, let's go to level 1. Let's make that into the thing that we're talking about here. So let's think about this. Okay. So we have a 3D sort of view here. So we have these agent components. Let's just get rid of these two. Yeah, no. Those two. No. Those two. Yes. We'll call this one player. Alright. So the player will probably start as some kind of either a pawn or as some kind of formless character. Let's get the player wherever you might be. Put you up here. Okay. Let's have you start as a pawn. It's probably fine. We can randomize the base material. Actually, we can just set it to, let's say, sandstone. It's probably fine. So I think the eyes are going to be a little bit off here. No, actually they aren't. Okay. That's actually okay. That's more okay than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, okay. And so what we'll do is we will have the player choose which kind of piece they want to be, and then we'll have them choose what kind of material. So I think the first part of this is going to be what kind of piece they want to be, and I'm not sure how we're going to represent that. I know for a fact that what we want to do is we want to have that be represented not by necessarily one of these agents, but something close to it. So let us unpack this completely. So what would be the player? I think we won't need this, and we won't need you. So you're just going to be a display type thing. You're actually going to be a unit, but the piece that you are going to be, so the player is going to have a choice between pawn, the king, pawn, king, queen, rook, and knight. Or no, they're not going to be able to be a knight. We'll have bishop be maybe up here, something like that. So we'll say choose piece bishop. That's not how you spell choose. That is. Okay. Because the bishop is kind of in the middle. Then we'll have a rook down here. Say choose piece rook. And you will be a rook. Okay. Then we will have perhaps the, I guess, king and queen somewhere. So we'll have rook. I was thinking like piece values from left to right. So actually in this case, maybe, let's say the bishop goes actually over here. Let's say we have the rook here. And then we'll have a pawn over here, I guess? Yeah. So this will be choose piece pawn. Okay. And then we will have king here and then the queen over here, perhaps? Maybe queen down here. Well, I don't know. Yeah, the king can be there and then the queen can be over here. Yeah, something like that. So this will be choose piece king, and this will be choose piece queen. And I know I spelled that wrong. I'll say king. Okay. And that will be king, and then that will be queen. So all of these should appear. They should appear correctly. Shouldn't have too many issues. Okay, we don't. Yeah, so that's king, queen, rook, knight, and pawn. Or pawn, but there's no knight. That's fine. And so yeah, I guess the player will interact with these somehow, and that will choose which piece they want to be. But that'll be fine, and then they'll probably walk over here, and there will be a thing that lets you choose what material you want. At least that's what I'm thinking. And we'll probably allow like just static movement to mount or something. But yeah, I kind of like that. You gotta think about the background too. I don't know what I want that to be. Yeah, so we'll have that. And the player will move over here. I don't know if we want to block that off or if we want to make these disappear. I'm not really sure how that's going to work yet. But let's work on the other part of this level. Trying to think of where I need to actually grab these from. It needs to be here, right? So that they match the checkerboard pattern. And there are there are, how many different materials again? It's 4? Yeah, that's 4. And we'll work on the interaction system, I guess, later as part of this. I don't know. Kind of just making this up as I go along. I don't think this is technically game content, so I think it's fine for us to work on it right now. It's more just getting the system kind of working. Because like everything has like a character select system. And plus this lets us check, and this lets us test other parts of the game. So we'll have these be knocked out, and we'll have walls sitting there, I guess. Something like that. Okay. And then this will be some kind of choose material like sandstone. Let's say choose material sandstone. And then yeah, that'll be a pawn, it'll be sandstone, and then we can duplicate this. This will be choose material, no, cancel that. Choose material marble. And this will be, let's say, marble. And then we will duplicate both of these and have them down here. Yeah, all right. And this will be slate. And this will be granite. Okay. Let's say slate, and we will say granite. And of course, this is probably like a very inefficient way to do this, but you know, I think it's kind of neat. Adds a little bit of characterization to the game. So yeah, you can choose various materials. I know there's some rendering issues. Have to fix those at some point. But yeah, so the idea is you'll just go up to these, interact with them, and then you'll be able to just move on your way. So something like that. Pawn, I do need to change the offset for it. Thankfully, I have that as data. So I think it's in resources, and then it's in pieces. So the pawns, there's the offset, needs to be closer to like probably just 120, right? Or sorry, 20 or 0.2, I guess. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little bit better. Oh, whoops, nope, it's an error. Okay. Eyes are a bit high, so we need to fix that at some point, but yeah, I think it's fine. So yeah, after that, I think they'll probably go north, and then they'll be given like their first dice or something. So let us look at that. bridge, and then some kind of other area. So with this, we can probably just cut out some of these. I kind of like having the pieces cut out because it looks like non-symmetrical, which I think is good. Actually, no, we want that there. Yeah, something like that. Maybe one more. Yeah, look non-symmetrical. Okay. So yeah, at this point they'll be given their first dice. Which I don't know what that room is going to look like. Probably be something like this. Oops. Probably not like that. And then the question is, how are we going to do items that are like on the ground? Like, how's that going to work? Because we don't have anything currently that can do that. Also, I want to check, does this slow things down? Doesn't seem to. Everything seems to be working fine. Okay. Yeah, we do get some errors, but it's probably fine. And so, yeah. We might just have a thing that lets you skip this. I don't know. Yeah. So how are we going to do things that are on the ground? I kind of want those to tilt towards the camera a little bit, just to be a little bit more lively. So let us go into, I think it's images, items. So I think the die is going to be one of the items. Let me grab one of you, duplicate one of you. So what we shall have, this. You're not going to be a unit. And this will just be an item. We are going to reuse the model though. Probably not going to use that, probably not going to use that. I think basically all of that can be destroyed. And then you're not going to be an outline really, you're just going to be, not a die, yeah, a die actually. Okay, and then I think those two of you can be destroyed, yes. Alright, so, question now is, how's this going to work? I think right there is probably good. Then we can downscale this a little bit. Yeah, that's about right. And the actual item itself can have like an offset within the space, and it'll just be rounded down to whatever space it's in. So in this case, I think we're going to need like an item component or something. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to do, but I do know what the animation for it is going to look like. It's going to billboard, well, not billboard, it's actually going to look at the camera, which is slightly different. So I guess what we'll do is we'll create a item component. And we just want to make sure that we get this onto every item. So yeah, we'll just put this in here. We don't need system.collections quite yet. And yeah, just have an item component, and then in common components, what I want is I want a look at camera component. Really, it could just be a look at component, but I think a look at camera might be a little bit better in this case. We don't want that. We want here. Also, this needs to be game.common. Right. And just in update, what we want to do is we want to say transform.look at main.transform. Yeah. Something like that. And we'll just see how that works for now. Also in item component, I want this to be in, yeah, red plus blue.game. Something like that, okay. Let's see what happens if we just tell the model to look at the camera. Let's just see what the effect looks like. Because I know that it's not going to be, okay. That is not what we want at all. Okay. Good to know. So you have the offset, but if you're looking at the camera, really I think it needs to really just be on the y-axis. So actually what we can do is we can rename this to, let's say, a look at component. Then we can say we want a public transform, and we'll say target. Then in private void update we'll say if not target, nope. Say if not target, and basically this means that if target hasn't been assigned, we just want to return. Unity transforms are implicitly convertible to null because they're components. Otherwise, we want to say, we also want public bool x, public bool y, and public bool z. Do something like that. And then what we will say is transform dot, I think it's rotation is equal to quaternion, or no wait, actually, hold on. I think we can do transform dot look at. We can either look at a target, we can look at a world position, or we can look at a target with a certain up. We just want to look at a world position. So this will be a new vector 3, and if, basically we'll be looking at, let me think about this. So in the x-axis, if x is set, we want to look at the target x. Transform, ooh, but does that lock an axis? Because if we look at the x and y, yes, because if we look at the targets x and y, we cannot change the z. Yeah, okay, that should work. So we'll say target dot position dot x. And yes, the x, y, and z will just control which axis we look at, or which axes we look at. So if that's true, otherwise we want to use our own. Let's say transform.position.x. So yeah, basically if x is set, then we want to look at the target's x, otherwise we want to look at our own x. And the same is true for y and z. Okay. So if we just look at the targets x and y, that should preserve the z and the x rotation. Or no, x and z. That should only rotate around the other axis, if I know what I'm doing, which is debatable sometimes. Okay. So if I set you to look at the x and the z of the camera rig, then you should only rotate around the y-axis, if I know what I'm doing. Interesting. That's not quite the result I expected, but sure. Oh, actually, that might make sense, because I think the camera rig technically is over there. So it's looking at it, but it's not. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't know why the model's forward is that way. Actually, yes, I do. Okay. that makes some level of sense. That means that, all that means is that this just needs to be rotated 90 degrees? No, sorry, 180 degrees. I think that'll work. This is a little bit slow to turn. I should probably put that closer to where the camera actually spawns. Yeah, okay. And that way, that will actually move a little bit. It does look a little weird. It doesn't need to really track the camera rig, it needs to track the actual camera itself. So track that. And we will move you a little bit closer to the entrance. Alright. Let's see what we get here. Alright. There's a little bit of clipping issue, but a little bit of a clipping issue there, but I think it's actually fine. Might want to increase the scale a little bit. So we can pull this back to about there, and then we can update the scale a little bit. Okay. Alright, yeah. So that's what items will look like on the ground. Okay. Kind of cool with that. Yeah, they do look a little strange whenever you get to the edges, but actually it might work out fine. Yeah, this is the difference between billboarding, which is what they're doing, and looking at the camera. Notice that the pieces don't actually change their orientation, but this does. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so yeah, the player will be given their first dice whenever they get to this area. So I think we'll give them, I don't know, maybe 7 to start with, or maybe 6, I don't know. Doesn't really matter at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll need to create some kind of item data, and that will be what this item component is actually for. But I'm going to take a quick break and just get some water and stuff, and we'll be back with another hour of this. So yeah, it'll just be like 5 minutes or something. So see you in 5 minutes. Alright, and we are back. Apologies, that might have taken a little bit longer than I expected, but we are back. So, what we're going to do is I want a way to have different items in the game. So what we could do is we could create a prefab for each different item. I don't intend to do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just not something that I intend to do. The way that we're going to do it is we're going to do it using scriptable objects. It's the way that I do like the different pieces and stuff. So as you can see, we have like a piece here. It has this unit component on it. Actually, let me get a real one. This is the player. So it has the unit component on it. And what that does is that takes in a... Hold on. Okay. Yeah, what that does is that has a reference to some kind of material and some kind of piece, and that piece describes, this is a scriptable object, it describes what the graphics are, the actual scale to use, and then sort of the offset to use. So that's like the offset from the base. That's not important to items. What is important is the different graphics and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to create a scriptable object called an item definition. And what we will do is we will edit this. So the first part is to create the scriptable object, and I believe I have, scriptable objects in here. So what we can do is we can create a new, let's call it a mono behavior. I don't see a template for scriptable object. Just call this an item definition. And what this will have for now, first off, this is going to be in the namespace, red+blue.game. And the second thing is that it is going to have the create asset menu attribute, and the menu name is going to be definition/item. Definition/item. Okay, I don't care. So we will have a definition. This will create a menu called definition, or a menu called definition, and then a submenu it'll have item. And we can also put scriptable object here. And what this will have is we can say that this will be things we need for an item. We need to have the image for it. So we'll have a public image, or no, it's not an image, it's a sprite. And this will be the sprite. We have a public, let's say, we'll have a string for the name. And so right now, I think those are the only two things we need. Actually, let's have a scale as well, just in case we want things to be different sizes. So yeah, that'll be vector3.1 as the default. And yeah, so the name will be unnamed. Unnamed. Yeah. And so this will just be an item definition. This isn't going to be the full item, it's just going to be some of it. We'll just say unnamed like that. All right, and so the item component is going to have a item definition. This is going to be the definition. And then we will have in private void awake, we will have it set up its information, like the scale of the model, and then which sprite to use. We'll have all that set up in this awake. And so we can look at the unit component to do that. And actually what we want is we want a public void refresh, or no, is it refresh? Yeah, it is refresh actually. So we can do this. I guess we'll call this refresh graphics. Sure, refresh graphics. Just in case we need to change this at runtime as well. And so we'll do the same thing with item here, or not item definition, but with item. Have a public void refresh graphics. We'll just call that in awake. And since in the item definition we have a reference to the sprite and the scale, we need a reference to the public sprite renderer, and we'll just say sprite renderer. Then in here we will need a public transform, and this will be the model, whatever that might be. Then in this case we'll have a sprite renderer. We'll say sprite renderer.sprite is equal to definition.sprite. And then the model.local scale, local scale is going to be equal to the definition.scale. Alright, so now this should allow us to have different items with different graphics and things like that. And so the first thing, we'll just create like 3 different dice, I guess, like 3 different copies of dice. And here we'll have a open asset in isolation. We'll have the model there, and then we'll have the sprite renderer there. And there is no definition right now. So in resources, we will create a folder for items. Say items. Then we'll say create a definition of an item, and we'll say, I don't know, die1, and then this will be, die1. It won't really matter right now. Sprite will be the sprite of a die, and what we'll do is we'll create a couple more. It'll say die2, and then maybe die3, and we'll just change the scale so that we can see the different scales. So we'll say 1.3. This is for, yeah, that's fine. And we'll say, 1.6, 1.6, and 1.6. 1.6. Alright. So now we create like 3 copies of this. And we put them actually in the right places. What we can do, let me actually put these up here. Oh god. Alright, let's put them up here. What we can do is we can say that this one is die1, and then we can say this one is die2, and that one is die3. So now if we look at these, what we will find is that they are different sizes. Yeah. So as you can see, it's die1, die2, and die3, different sizes. And so yeah, that basically is the way that you can, or that is a way that you can avoid creating a different object or a different prefab for each item in your game. That can get really cumbersome to do, and we can edit all this data, right here. So yeah, there is that. As far as how the inventory system and stuff is going to work, I'm not entirely sure. I think what it's going to be is it's going to be something along the bottom of the screen. And you're going to basically be able to click. If you are, I guess, within range, you're going to be able to click on one of these, and then it will become like an item, like a, what is it? I'm trying to think, it'll become like attached to your cursor, and then you'll be able to like put it on the inventory, something like that. So let's actually try to work on that, because we have quite a bit of time. So yeah, let's try to do something like that. So the way that will work is we will have some kind of canvas. This will be the UI. And right now we'll just create like some kind of area at the bottom. And yeah, I'm trying to think of how this is going to work. So we do want to say scale with screen size is going to be 1920 by 1080. And we will have a, let's say, UI panel. And that will be attached to the bottom right like that. We're going to set the anchor here to 0, 0. We want the width to be, I don't know, maybe 800 by, say, 50? No, 100 at least. 150. That's probably a little bit large, but it'll be fine. Have no background, and yeah, it can just have the white there. That'll be fine. And this will be the inventory. Sure. So I guess in components we will have components will have like an inventory manager or something. Not inventory manager, but like an inventory component. So it's in scripts, common, no, it's in scripts game, components, UI. Have, I guess, an inventory component here. Inventory component, inventory, yes, okay. So with that, where is it? It's in UI, inventory, okay. This needs to be in red plus blue, or sorry, namespace, red plus blue, .game, yes. Okay. Put this here. And we don't need the update. We do need Unity Engine and Unity Engine.event systems, I believe. This will be a iPointer it's iPointer up handler. So if we release the mouse while we are over this, and let's just debug log this just to be double sure. Say debug.log released, we'll say mouse released. Okay. And actually that, okay, the canvas looks fine. All right. Then we'll add an inventory component to this. And now if I move over, nothing happens. If I click down and then up, nothing also happens. Interesting. Why is that? So that's not handling that. This is the eye pointer up. This is a raycast target. Is it because it doesn't have a sprite? Is that why? Or is it because it doesn't have a collider? No, that's not working. Why does that not work? Let's try an eye pointer enter. And let's try mouse enter. I thought this was working with the button. There might be something else this needs. So that works. But that actually releasing the mouse doesn't. So am I wrong on where this gets called? So this is with selectable. Oh, does it need to import or implement selectable? No. Well, actually, I don't know. So you're in event system, event systems. Or does it just need to be an iDrag handler? So an iDrag. Oh, does it need like iPointer handler or something? So if we, okay, so this will probably work. So if it's a drag handler, drag end handler, and an iDrag handler. Okay, that might be what we need, actually. Pointer up stuff might work, but I think these actually work better. So the drag handler, we want to do nothing, and then with this, we want to do nothing. So this intentionally does nothing. Then with the onDrag end, we could do debug.log mouse released. think that will work. I think that'll call onDragEnd once the mouse is released, right? No? Okay. Oh, so it has to start and be released in the same thing. Interesting. Okay, so that's with the thing itself being dragged, but I guess we don't want that. I guess the drag handler is if you want to implement, it's implemented by the thing that is getting dragged, not the thing, yeah, I think it's iDrop handler? Okay, maybe. That's what we're looking for? Sometimes with Unity, you just gotta scan through the interfaces and see if you get what you want. Log, alright. Or actually, no. This is also probably the thing that was dropped, or no, maybe it isn't. We'll just say mouse released. Right? It is at least getting the callbacks, so that's a good start. So if we click here and then we release, nope. No, okay, you don't get any callbacks there. Okay. So I pointer down. So yeah, I think you need the I. Do you need both? Do you need both? That'd be weird if you needed both, right? I guess you could. So if we said, I don't know, debug.log mouse up, then we say mouse down. Okay, let's try that. Looked like in their examples you didn't need to implement. Okay. Interesting, so that click and drag doesn't give you a mouse up. It only does if it only does if you click down inside of there. Oh my god, stop. Alright. That's interesting. Okay. So how would I know if it's over the inventory? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. So this is click. Alright, so I guess Unity engine, what are we going to do with this? Say Unity engine check if pointer over UI. So I think there's an event system callback that can do it. So yeah, is pointer over game object. So it's here. So we say is pointer. No, okay, so it's not in there. Is it here? Unity is pointer over game object. This, okay. So you don't have to implement anything. Just say event systems.current. That is pointer over game object, and I think you can specify which game object? Or no? Let's think about this. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Let's say private void update. Let's check out what this event system stuff actually looks like. So we'll say if input.get mouse button down, let's say 0. We will say if event systems dot current dot is pointer over game object, and there's only one overload, and it's the pointer ID. Dot current selected game object? Is there like a way to raycast against the UI or something? I'm not sure. Not sure how this is gonna work. So let's do I pointer enter. So let's see here. Log.log, say mouse enter. So let's try this first. Let's see if we get the mouse enter callback when it's clicked. Alright, if I hold, yes, okay, so I still get mouse enter whenever we're holding stuff down. So then, whoops, that's not what I want. So what we can do is we can do I pointer exit handler. So what we can do is we can say, can create a bool that tells us whether or not we are currently over the inventory. So we can say protected bool is over, or we'll say is pointer over inventory. And so on pointer enter, we will say that this is true. On pointer exit, we will say that this is false. So now if we get the mouse button, say get mouse button up 0 and the pointer is over the inventory, and actually we can do this the other way because I think it's actually slightly faster. We can say if both of those are true, then we say debug.log. Say that something was dropped on the inventory. So something was dropped, or put something in inventory. Something in inventory. Something like that. Let's try. Whoops. Whoa, oh, no. Wait, what? Object reference not set to an instance of what? Okay, interesting. Okay, there we go. So yeah, what I want is I want to click, basically want to click in the world, and then once the pointer is down, if it's down over one of these things, we want to turn that into an item at the point of the cursor, and then we want to be able to put it inside the inventory. Interesting. It doesn't always work. Oh, is that because it's because we're not getting the exit thing? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, so the next step is then to turn one of these items into a thing that attaches to the cursor. So I don't know how we're going to do that. It's probably going to be something like some kind of handler. We'll say like a cursor handler component or something. Oh, actually this needs to be an input handler, because if the player, yeah, so in this case we want to raycast. If we hit a tile, otherwise if we hit an item, we want to try to convert the item into some kind of thing that attaches to the cursor. And I think we want to then pass control to the item itself or something like that. What we can say is if either of those things are true, then we want to return. And actually what we want to do is we want to say, not tile, We want to check for the item, I think, also. So I'm going to say var item is equal to hit.collider.getComponent, say getComponent, say item component. So if this is an item, then we want to transfer control to the item itself. So we'll say if item, and then else if. So if the item exists, then we will say like item.pickup or something. I think this is what we want to do. So say public void pickup, like the player grabbed the item. And so what this will cause to happen is the model. All right, so yeah, that'll work. And then there won't be a tile because there will be an item. But we can actually say explicitly if item or any of these things are true. Actually, no, this will completely exclude that. So we want to return here. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And so what that will do is that will convert the item into some kind of thing that's, yeah, convert the item into something. And then the inventory component, or sorry, the item component will start monitoring the player's input. So it will say is private void update. And we will need, yeah, we'll need something here. So if the pointer is over the inventory and we get the mouse button up, then we want to put something in the inventory. I don't know how to forward the call. Basically, we need to figure out what to do if the mouse button is not, or if the pointer is not over the inventory and the object is released. How we can actually figure that out. And I think we need to do that at a higher level than this. I think we need well, actually, no. If we get the mouse button up, we also need something to figure out if the player is holding an item or not. It's really, that feels like it should be in the input handler, right? Right? Am I crazy? Because really this is handle, actually I don't know. So this is mouse button, get mouse button down. Actually this needs to be down. I don't know how this is gonna work. Let's get button down and that. We also need to check if we're holding an item. I don't know how to do that without linking these two. Okay, yes I do. So what we can do is we can make this public. Say is pointer over inventory. We can set this to a public bool, and then we can have a external get and a protected set. Okay. Then what we will do is in the input handler component, we will say handle, so that's handle input, but actually this is handle like camera movement. And then this is handle clicking, I guess handle click. Okay. And so what we want to do is, in this case, if we've clicked, or if we're over an item, this tells us if we're over an item, not if we're actually clicking on an item. So actually, none of this is relevant. Okay. We also need to check here if we are clicking on a tile. We already know that because the current path is not null. What we need to do is we say if input, basically we need to move this condition up one level. We need to say that, and then we need to say if the current path is not null, like that. Otherwise, we need to do a secondary raycast here. And we need to check if we've clicked on a tile or if we've clicked on a item. But specifically, we need to check if we've clicked on an item. Say item component. So if, we'll say var item is equal to that. And we'll say if not item, or in this case, I guess if item, then, so something is hit, actually this can go in here, because these two are not mutually exclusive. Say if it's an item, if we click on an item, otherwise if we clicked on something else, then try to move to it. Or no, we'll say var tile is equal to the same thing, hit.collider.getComponent tile. So only if we click on a tile can we actually move. So we'll say if tile and current path is not equal to null. Okay. So if we have an item, if we clicked on an item, then what we need to do is we need to turn that item into some kind of thing on the mouse that like attaches to the mouse. So we'll say protected, and I guess item definition. We'll say holding item. And then in update, we'll have protected void handle item. Yeah, just handle item, I guess. And then handle item. All right. What we'll say is if we're not holding an item, then we want to return. In this case, we'll say, yeah, that's fine. And actually, this is the item component. Let's say holding item is equal to item. And then we'll want to say item.pickup. Okay. And so what that will do is this will notify the item that it has been picked up. And then if we are holding an item, what we want to check for is we want to say if say if input dot, or no, actually we don't need to do the handle. Well, actually handle item is fine, but what we need is we need a pointer release, or we'll say, I guess we need to do if input dot get mouse button up, it'll be the left click, and actually no, if input dot get mouse button up, say var inventory is equal to find object of type, and we'll say inventory component. Say the inventory, and if not inventory, or if inventory, if there is an inventory, because we might be able to close it, we don't know. What we want to do is we want to say if inventory and inventory dot is pointer over inventory. Then we want to say debug.log put something in inventory. We can even say put whatever the item is, item component, put holding item in inventory. Okay, and then we want to call holding item dot remove, I guess. And then we'll say holding item is equal to null. And what this remove will do is it will just remove it from the world. And so actually the item itself doesn't need to worry about anything. Say public void remove. This will just destroy the game object. And we'll say public void put down. And so what this will do is this will set the model.setActive or .gameObject.setActive false. All right, and then this will set it to true. All right, so in this case, in handle item, if there's an inventory and if the mouse button is up, if there's an inventory and the pointer's over the inventory, otherwise we'll call holding item.putDown. Instead of put down, I think it'll be put back. So it hasn't moved. All right. So in theory, this should work. So yeah, let's try this and see what we get. The items, they need a collider of some kind. Otherwise, the raycast won't work. So we do need to go into prefab, open asset in isolation, and then in model, I want to add the collider here. So this will be a sphere collider. And it'll be probably a radius of 0.1 or something. And maybe have it be a little bit displaced. No, a little bit displaced. Maybe like that. Like say minus 0.1. And maybe 0.15. 0.13. 0.15 is probably fine. Okay. 1.5. All right. Basically, the reason that I'm putting this on model is so that it will scale with the size of the model. So when the model itself gets scaled, it scales the collider with it. That's what we want. And we want this to be a trigger because we don't want anything to collide with it. Okay. So now I think I've done all of that right. So let's try this. So what should happen is whenever I click on, say, this, it should turn invisible. It does not. Interesting. Okay. Why does it not? Okay. Let's check this out. So let's do debug debug.log clicked an item. Actually, no. Why wouldn't that work? Hang on. Let's do debug.log item. Okay, let's try that. Am I not calling something? That's possible. Okay, so it is. It only fires when it hits something. Okay. So we're not hitting the item there. Why? Does this not have a collider? No, it definitely has a collider. Ah, but the collider is not attached there. Okay. That's the problem. Okay. So we can... How's that going to work? I guess we could find a component in parent. Get component in parent. That might work. All right. Not a huge fan of it, but it might work. I don't like using get component in parent because it's not, I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. Okay, yeah, now it turns invisible because it's on the cursor, but it's not displaying. And if we put it down, yeah, we put an item in the inventory, okay. Now if we grab this one, whoops, now if we grab this one and drop it, it goes back, okay. Yeah, so now it just gets put back if we don't release it over the inventory. All right, and so now what we need to do is we need to somehow attach this to the cursor. And I'm not sure how to do that. I guess what we can do is we can have some kind of UI component. So we can have, we can be using, let's say, unityengine.ui, unityengine.ui. All right. And what we can do is we can have a public rect transform, or no, we'll have a sprite, no, not sprite, a image? Yeah, this will be the holding, or we'll say this will just be the item, whatever that might be. Okay, and what we can do is whenever we pick up an item, what we can do is we can say item.sprite is equal to item.definition.sprite, okay, and then we can say item.setActive or .gameObject.setActive true. So this is when we pick up an item, and then whenever we drop an item, what we want to do is we want to, well, in any case, if either of these fire, we want to set this to false, and then this can just be null. And we can set it active to false first. All right. If we do the handle item, what we want to do is we want to say, if we have an item, we want to say that the item.position, or let's say var transform, or say item transform is equal to item.get component. This will be the rect transform. We want to say item transform.position. I think it's the, is it the anchored position? Is equal to input.mouse position. I think that's what we want to do. I think that'll cause it to follow the cursor. All right, and that might work. Okay, so here, what we probably want to do is we probably want to create, let's say, a UI, I don't know, image, and we'll say this is the holding, say this is the item that we're currently holding. And I don't know, maybe 64 by 64, sure, that's about the right size. And that's the image, so we'll set that to invisible. And what we will do is in the, I think it's not camera rig, but in here. No, where is it? It's in the look target, right? I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. All right, and now I think that should just work, right? I did that right? So let's try. It doesn't appear in the inventory, but that's fine. So we grab this, okay. So it's not quite right, but it does follow the cursor, and then it does become invisible. Okay, and the item destroys itself. So why does that happen? Why does the anchored position, why is there an offset there? That's what I don't understand. Is it, no, why is there an offset there? That's what I don't understand. But we can figure that out. Say debug.log, and it'll say mouse position. mouse, say plus input dot mouse position. Actually, if I just set the position to that, is it okay with that? Is it okay with that? Or is it the local position? No, it really should be the anchored position. Let's try the position. Let's just see what we get. Okay. And I really need to move those closer to the where the camera starts, or just move the camera, actually. All right, now this works. Cool. Now if we hover, yep, okay, that's interesting. So I think I seem to have broken this. All right, I broke it. We can do this. Now let's see. Oh, is that intercepting? I think that might be intercepting stuff, actually. Yeah, it is. We just need to not make it a raycast target. I think that works. I think that'll cause it to be not an issue. Okay, so what we can do is we can grab this, now we have it, and now we can put it in the inventory. Awesome. And so now what I need to do is whenever we do this, yeah, now we can just click and grab things. I love it. What we need to do is we need to actually just make it, we need to create basically a copy of it and have that copy just kind of sit in the inventory. So what we'll do with that, and of course I don't know how we're going to make things drop on the ground, but let's not worry too much about that. So what we can do is we can say, it's getting really close to the time to stop, but that's fine. What we can do is we can just create basically we can create one of you, just have that be like item in inventory or inventory item or something in prefabs. We can duplicate this, make this the item in inventory. That'll work. Yeah, I think that'll work. And then yeah, we just need to create a prefab for that. And it needs to be active by default, obviously. And then we will do that in the inventory component. Say public void put item. Then we'll have an item definition. We'll say item. Then we'll have a public, this will be a sprite, not a sprite render, an image. Actually, we'll just say game object. And then this will be the item prefab. Prefab, yeah. What we'll say is put item, and then we'll say vector2 position. And what we can do is we can have the item, or we'll say var item or var item object is equal to, and then we'll instantiate the item prefab. And then we'll say that we're going to put that at, that's a question. Let's just try position, and we'll say quaternion.identity. Sure. Let's see if that works. And then we'll say var image, or say item image is equal to item object dot get component image. Then we'll say image dot, whoops, we need unity engine dot UI. Say image dot sprite, or say item image dot sprite is equal to item dot sprite. Okay, that might work. That might work. So all we need to do is in the input handler, whenever we put something down, we need to say that we need to say what is it? Inventory dot put item. Then we'll put the holding item dot definition, and then we'll put it at the input dot mouse position. Okay, that might work. Yeah, let's try that. And we do need to assign the prefab here. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So we grab this, that works, and then we put that. So it did create an item in inventory, but I don't know where it put it. It put it there. The only question is why we can't see it. It didn't change the z-axis. Oh, is it because it didn't put it on the canvas? So if I put you here, okay, that'll work. So we just parent it to the transform. That's fine. And yeah, it can be a parent anyway. That's fair. So what we can do is we can say we can say transform. We'll just set that to the parent, and then yeah, its position should be that, which should set the absolute position. So yeah, that's fine. So yeah, one more time with this. Okay, so if we grab this, we can put it in the inventory. That's not where I wanted that to go, but okay. Okay, interesting. I think it's stacking them. Why is it stacking them, actually? Huh. I don't know why that's not working. I might have to set the thing for the rect transform. That might have to be the rect transform. That might work. Because then it'll be a parent, and yeah. I don't know. Let's see. There we go. Whoa, that's interesting. The special cast is not valid. Okay. This should be a rect transform, yes. Okay. You should be able to do that. Yeah, and we need to work out the positioning stuff. I don't know why that's causing an issue. Oh, actually, I do. Wait a minute. So what if I just instantiate you? Let's say at position, and then we say. Well, actually, we'll just transform. We'll just spawn you at vector3.0 and at quaternion.identity. Then what we can say is the item object dot set parent to be okay. So if in here, if I just said get component rect transform, so maybe it doesn't work because its parent needs to be a rect transform. And we said item.position or item object.position is equal to position. Okay, does that work? Because yeah, I wonder if a rect transform can't have a normal transform as its parent. That's possible. So let's try that. So if we create you here and then there, damn it, okay. Yeah, it really doesn't like that. Oh, where does it not like it? It doesn't like it in inventory component.put item, okay. It doesn't like it in transform.parent. So yeah, it doesn't like instantiate like that. Alright. So if I said, let's say vector3.0, and then vector3.0 and then the quaternion.identity. Identity. Okay. And then we say item object dot set parent as that. Then are you happy? You know what, I'm gonna move the camera. I'm tired of doing this. Finally gonna do it. Gonna move the camera. Alright. Over to here. Actually no, it's the look target that we need to move. Never mind. Alright. Cause the camera to warp a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Now grab this, put that down. Why is that not valid? You can't instantiate that. Why can you not instantiate that? Can you really just not? That's weird. Let's just say rect item transform is equal to item dot get. What is it? Yeah, get component. Wait, no, item object dot get component. Rect transform. Yeah. Like that. Item transform dot that. Okay. Seems very strange. Camera will warp over a little bit. All right. Okay, there we go. Now I think it worked. Yeah, now we can put things in the inventory like that. Okay. That's kind of what I want. So I kind of want an Ultima sort of style inventory. And then we just need to handle clicking within the inventory itself, which I don't know how we're going to deal with that, but figure it out. But yeah, anyway, that's what I wanted to do today. So thank you for watching. We will be back here at 2. Yeah, 2 Central to do some GeneForge mutagen stuff. Yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out, and I will see you.